He always has the Baldies breakdowns. They're always awesome, and of course, we check them out. And when we saw the Baldies breakdowns, and we saw that he's calling the Eagles game this week, we got to get him back on to talk about everything that everybody wants to know. Baldy, what is wrong with the Eagles? We're at Chickies and Pete's in Egg Harbor Township. This fine gentleman walked over. Doesn't care about the Phillies press conferences. The Phillies. He wants to know what's wrong with the Eagles. And you broke down some stuff about this team, Baldy. You're getting ready to see them play the Vikings this week. But what you're seeing on tape and your breakdowns about this team, let's start on the offense first. What is alarming to you, if alarming's the right word?
Oh, it's alarming. I mean, they're not running the football anywhere near as well as they ran a year ago. And that's a little perplexing because it's pretty much the same guys outside of the right guard. But they're not getting the same level of movement. They're not getting the same commitment to the run game that they once had a year ago when they ran for over 3,000 yards as a team. And you just kind of break it down. Like Saquon's got 95 runs so far, and 40% of those runs have gone for a yard or less. And so, if you are losing yards on 1st and 10 or gaining a yard on 2nd and 10, it's kind of hard to dial up another run. And now you're starting to throw it more than you probably want to, and they haven't been particularly good on that side of the ball, throwing it with any sort of consistency right now, outside of, one quarter against the Rams when they were down 26-7 and had to throw it. So, I mean, those are some of the issues right now on offense is the ability to run it consistently and get Saquon going. His longest run is 18 yards. Last year he had 7 runs of 60 yards or more. So like we're not getting the long runs or the big runs or the explosive runs at all in any part of the run game.
How much, Baldy? Obviously, you made your money as an offensive lineman in there, mucking and grinding in the interior. How much is it? Yes, there's one change on the offensive line, but how much is it the fact that some of these guys are beat up and it's just been guys in and out? Dickerson's in, Dickerson's out. Juergens maybe doesn't look the same. Heck, even Tyler Steen, who's done a nice job, but he's going out. He's, Matt Pryor's going in. How much is it the lack of consistency of that offensive line that is causing a lot of the problems?
Well, they had those issues last year. Lane missed a game and Malata was out. Fred Johnson was in. They had some of that same stuff a year ago. It's never an excuse. The Cowboys won a game and scored 40 2 weeks ago, and they had 4 backup offensive linemen in. They're not getting good movement. Some of the runs they were successful at last year, whether it was counter tray or power, they're not getting the same movement up front. I would say they do miss Mekhi Becton a great deal. Mekhi was really good at the point at getting the line of scrimmage moved, whether it was on the backside or the front side. And so, but they kind of knew that they weren't going to have that kind of size and power inside. And I don't want to slight Tyler Steen because he's a good young player. But, as a group, they just have not been moving the line of scrimmage. And they really haven't expanded the run game very much and the type of runs that are out there. With the athletic ability that Malata and Lane Johnson have, you would think that they'd get those guys to the perimeter on toss cracks and toss sweeps and some of those kind of runs. And I would think that might be a good way to kind of crease Minnesota this weekend.
Going to say you'll be on the call for Compass Media Network's coverage of this game, and this isn't a hand-picked defense, right? You wouldn't say, hey, you know what? You know how we get this offense going? Let's go play Minnesota. What challenges do the Vikings bring in terms of what the Eagles have been struggling with and how difficult it will be to kind of fix themselves against this Viking defense?
Well, they give you, Brian Flores has been at the forefront of this style of defense that the whole league is sort of taken, where they're putting 6 and 7 guys up at the line of scrimmage. And it's up to you to discern whether they're all coming, who's dropping, where they're dropping, what they're trying to take away, what down they're doing it on, because it's more than just third down. And if they are all coming, do we have the answer to a blitz zero if they go that way? And so they really challenge you from a protection standpoint and from just a blocking scheme. And then they have a lot of really interchangeable parts. Josh Metellus plays about 4 or 5 different positions. So does Andrew Van Ginkel. You're not really sure sometimes, where Jonathan, where number 58 is going to line up right now. So Jonathan Grenard. They've got a lot of variations. And then sometimes you don't know what coverage they're going to be in until the ball's snapped. And so whether it's a zone, whether it's, man-to-man, whether it's half zone, like they really keep you guessing until the ball is snapped. And that creates a lot of indecision in opposing offenses.
Baldy, one of the things that we keep hearing this week when you look at the Eagles offense, we talked about their offensive line, but the word predictability. You had a Baldy's breakdown where their offense is essentially running a lot of the same concepts multiple times over. When you watch them, are they very predictable? And is that a lot of the problem, the play calling and the play design?
I think it is some of the problem. I'm not saying like, I could be, I don't know, Ivan Pace Jr. on Sunday and call out the play that the Eagles are running, or Harrison Smith and call out the play. I don't think that's happening. But there is some simplicity to what they're doing to becoming more efficient. And when you if you simplify things too much in this league, it can look awfully predictable. And I think some of that is going on. But ultimately, it comes down to production, and it does come down to personnel. And, do they have the right personnel to run certain plays? And what plays do they run best? And can we double those plays up or come back to them if they have success? For example, against the Giants, they ran a little weak side toss on the first play of the game against the Giants, and they ran it for 18 yards. And they never ran it again the rest of the day. Why wouldn't they double that play up, and come back to it? So, sometimes you don't mind being predictable if you're really productive. And you can run. And last year, they ran a lot of the same plays over and over again, but they ran them really, really well, even if the defense knew they were coming. So, it can be a double-edged sword. It can work against you if it's real predictable and just sitting on these routes. And that's what teams are doing. They're just playing these zone defenses and sitting on top of the Eagles, and they're kind of matching them up. And, there's not a lot of separation because they're just kind of like playing like these matchup zones, and the quarterback doesn't want to throw it when there's tight coverage like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I watched your breakdown, and they ran the same play on third down 3 times. And the one thing I said is they're running the same play, but it appears that guys are open on some of these plays. Are you seeing that as well, that guys, they might run the same play? Maybe they are predictable, but some of these plays could work if executed.
I agree with that. I agree. The passing game, I play with Randall Cunningham, but I love Randall. But Randall generally threw it to Fred Barnett or Calvin Williams only when they were open and he could see that he rarely threw the ball with any anticipation of where they're going to be or throwing guys open. And that's what Jalen is not really doing right now. Occasionally, in a deep ball, he will lay it out there, but he's not really throwing the ball with anticipation of where AJ or Devontae is going to be. And he just, I feel, I could be wrong. I mean, I haven't talked to Jalen about this, so this is just my opinion. But I feel like he kind of lives in fear of making a mistake. And he only has thrown 1 interception this year, which is his credit. But I don't think you can live in fear of turning the ball over. It's going to happen. The best quarterbacks in the league turn it over and throw it into coverage. But I think the number of big plays you can make to these receivers is going to outweigh any mistakes you make.
Baldy, let's flip over to the Eagle defense because they were kind of carrying this team and a lot of trust in them. Fourth quarter, Denver, last week, I mean, they got pushed around. It looked like Cam Scadaboo was having fun just lowering his shoulder, driving through Eagle defenders. When you're getting ready for this Minnesota offense that you'll call on Sunday, what are some of the things about the Eagle defense that has started to struggle in the last 5 quarters?
Well, they've really struggled, in pass rush and on the defensive line. I mean, if you just look at last week's game against the Giants, the starting defensive line in the Super Bowl isn't out there. Josh Sweat, Milton Williams moved on. Jalen Carter was hurt. Nolan Smith is hurt. So it's not the same defense as a year ago, starting up front. Zadarius Smith is probably the best pass rusher right now. He just retired. So pass rush has been a problem. And Jalen Carter has not played well when he has played. And he needs to start looking like Jalen Carter, like real soon. I know he's had a bad heel. He's dealt with a bad shoulder. He's been suspended for a game. But he has not looked like the player that we're used to seeing over the last 2 years. So we'll see if a dormant Jalen Carter can wake up. Jalen Hunt is a guy that sort of looked like like he was pointing in the right direction, but he's kind of flatlined and has not made many plays. And so then you get to the secondary, you lose Quinion during the game. They already had problems at left corner, and so they've got question marks at corner right now. There's no question about it. I've seen Cooper DeJean go outside and play outside corner because they had to put him outside when, they really want to leave him at the slot position because he's really good there. So they've got some weaknesses that we didn't see a year ago.
Baldy will get you out on this. When you look at this matchup, and you've been studying, you got Carson Wentz, looks like he might go. J.J. McCarthy's been out with that ankle. Minnesota, not a high-powered offense, but Justin Jefferson against possibly this Eagles secondary. Is there a big factor in this game that you're looking for on Sunday?
Well, it's just that. I mean, the receivers are game breakers in Minnesota. Whether it's Jefferson, whether it's Jordan Addison or Jalen Naylor, who runs in the 4-3s, any of those guys, the design of the offense of Kevin O'Connell, it is, if you're not pressuring, whether it's Carson or JJ, and you let those guys sit back, they're gonna make some good throws. Like, they're that good. And so I'm anxious to see what the next answer to the receiving core of Minnesota is. They're never going to get too far away from the run, whether it's Jordan Mason or Aaron Jones or a combination. They're both very, very good. But the receivers are game breakers in Minnesota. So I'm anxious to see how Philadelphia matches up against them.
It's Eagles and the Vikings. Brian Baldinger will be on the national radio call for Compass Media Networks. And, of course, you can follow him on the X platform at Baldy NFL. Use the hashtag Baldy's Breakdowns to check out what he's watching in this one between the Eagles and the Vikings. And he joined us right here on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Baldy, always great to catch up with you, pal.
You bet, Mike. I'll talk to you real soon, buddy. Good.